I use words like disability and um, mental illness, chronic illness. I use the language that people know. So I was about to say, like, my being an artist is caused by or part and parcel of having um, these conditions, I guess. But I'm gonna keep messing around with this setup. But um, for me, being an artist is okay. What am I trying to say? Um, I want to say good things about me and the way I am, and part of using the language of disability and suffering and diagnoses, um, part of that just comes from uh, it's like, what's the shortest way to explain where I'm at? Like my kitchen, that for financial, based on the financial, but based on the choices I've made, I have to make all my meals, and I do it in a setting that looks like this, um, and if I had an edited video, I'd say something. I mean, sorry, I have a YouTube video saved in my watch later. I have several, but one says clutter, I think is the word they use, is a trauma response. So I'm just saying everything is related, and um, I find the even the I find healing as defined by my society. uh, I find that unappealing. Healing. Um. Anyway, there's a lot. My mind jumped around to creativity and medication, and um, but none of that is what I fired this up to talk about. I let's see. Well, everything is everything. What do I want to talk about? I want to talk about. Well, before I leave that previous topic, um, so it occurred to me this week because I'm currently living off of the generosity of others, relying on it, that I don't like marketing, and if I uh, but marketing is, I mean, I don't like marketing when it comes to me, my art, being a human being. I do art. Um, I'm an abstract. This is such a funny example. It's very dark, but light at the same time. Um, it's like shiny coated. I keep it in my kitchen. Nothing really sticks to it. It's the perfect size. I just figured if I'm going to talk about art, I should show. This is fun. It if it'd be better if I wore this like a sandwich board, but like a sandwich board. Just walking down the street, buy art, buy abstract art, get a window to your mind. It's lifelong therapy that you can hang on the wall for just a few $100s. Abstract art. Get your abstract art here. Change the way you see yourself in the world. Anyway, um, yeah, it's the middle of the night where I am. My sleeping is off. Living the way I live, it gives me the freedom to do that. Um, but I'm hungry, so I have to cook. So I have to clean in order to cook because of um, because clutter is a trauma response. Although, see, I mean, one of the problems I have talking with not not with myself, but with others in the world is that you ever do that? I'm making room for this doesn't have to go through the dishwasher, so I'm just making room for something else that does. Um, so what I try to do, I could say like a contestant on a reality game show. I'm not here to make friends. I am here if somebody watches and participates, I might talk to them, but that part is like distracting for me because my main goal is just to show one my one messy life in a way that's not um, well marketed. Or what I was to get back around to the point I was just making, like because I survive on help from others, it has occurred to me that there are certain others who I believe see me as this, like, you know, artist, creative, genius, weirdo, struggling with mental health. Um, I mean, the only word that makes me uncomfortable in that sentence is genius. I am an artist. I am a weirdo. I am creative. I do struggle. Um, I mean, I sometimes take issue with mental disability language, which maybe I'll get around to, but to discuss it. Um, so right now, so I woke up in the middle of the night and it's 2 a.m. I have freedom, the freedom of not having anything in the outside world depending on me tomorrow or most of the time. So anyway, I couldn't go back to sleep, and my schedule has been off anyway, and I realized I was hungry, and so I'm doing all this to cook. So I'm cleaning off. I have to clean in order to make a mess because I woke up hungry, and I want to do something about that. But it just occurs to me that one of the people who helped keep me afloat gave me some leftovers yesterday, so I don't actually have to cook. I could just eat something right away because I feel hungry right away right now. Um, for a long time, I was doing this channel um, without the premise of talking to viewers. And that's easier for me because then I'm just trying to do, I'm narrating the stream of consciousness. So I'm just living versus thinking of communicating. Both of which I think have value, or else I wouldn't share them. The value of what I put online is an insight that's fairly unfiltered and um, into just one person's experience. Because I don't feel like we get enough of that in the world. And for me, the the I do like having my art on camera at all times. I know it's not centered. For me, a lot of what drove me to make this kind of art is that, everybody will say we're a storytelling people, we're a storytelling species. To be human is to speak in stories. We love stories. And everybody always talks about that as if it's the greatest thing. And I have always lived under, I'm consuming all these stories, and so many of them are, well, are so many of them are insufficient. That's putting it mildly. Um, yeah, I need to eat. Um, so this is an example of how it's harder to talk, to communicate, than to just narrate. What am I gonna do? I'll just heat up. I've got leftover sandwiches. Well, one of them is meant to be eaten cold anyway. Why don't I just eat half a sandwich right now? Sometimes, sometimes we do just have to make ourselves do stuff. So maybe I don't want it this cold. All of this thinking has really got me. Right now, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna eat the other sandwich that uh, is best heated up. Yeah, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. My this fridge here is broken and it acts as a freezer on both sides. So I realized I couldn't eat the first thing I pulled out cold because it was frozen. Uh, I'm making iced tea, which is one of the few routine things. Well, whatever. It's one of my routines. And I've been feeling so bad I haven't even been making iced tea. People who know me, I was like, I haven't had iced tea in over a week. Iced tea is I live in a hot climate, so I like it iced, and it's just about the cheapest flavored drink you can have. Unsweet. Just, it's just to me, it's like drinking water with a little bit of flavor in it. Mm. Speaking of, It's like chemistry set. Um, because the fridge freezes things, here's a jug of tea that's half ice. So that's the one I'll use to fill up my cup. I believe now I've been living with this broken refrigerator situation. I have another one. The small fridge is just behind that. Been living like this for years. Oh yeah, and now the ice maker stopped working. So it's like, I mean, I can live without ice, but now that my situation has like another level of, I mean, someone recently came by and thought that they could get me a working refrigerator. So, uh, something to look forward to. Okay, so I'm gonna pour, this one's the iciest one, so I'm gonna pour the hot, freshly made tea into the icy one. I just, my life's about maintaining liquid levels. I mean, that's true, isn't it? I, I had, I have some hopes to talk meaningfully. I think I did on my last stream. I wrote a script. Okay, this is still too hot to eat, but I really have to eat. I have to prioritize eating because it's affecting my ability to focus. So I have ADHD, which I think should be referred to as a focus. I mean, attention means focus, I suppose, but um, I have beliefs that don't align with, you know, labels and academies and whatnot. I mean, I think we all do, or that's a very very American thing to feel, or Western thing to feel. I recently read an insight by someone who's from a much more community minded culture about the, I guess I'll put all of the hot in this, that putting one's own opinion above, like first, and like experts and community comes below. Um, I was, I recently, because one of the really wonderful and lovely things about having friends from other cultures is that you learn a perspective like that. The individualism that I've experienced my whole life and that I sometimes experience as like an existential crisis of meaning, that it's not present in more communal societies. What the way I know being as a human is not, you know, the experience that everybody knows. Okay, I need to eat. Um, the in all the streams that I've put out. It was my habit to turn off the microphone when I was eating, but just mute or enjoy, whichever applies. These were leftover chips and some mustard. Place the sandwich came from has like special mustards. So I'll leave this out. The chips can get, I'll snack on them later. Chips in their fridge aren't, you know, it's a thing. My grandmother kept a lot of crunchy things in the fridge. Cold crunchy is not the same as room temperature crunchy. Yeah, I'm a little more self conscious than usual because I have the mindset that I'm actually talking to an audience. I don't know. Somebody asked me what headphones I'm wearing. I know they're Sony W something something. Sony gives its products such endearing, easy to remember names. um, they were a gift from someone who makes good choices. Although, well, they're great. They're wonderful. They enable me to do this. I was just going to go off on a if I get my life going and do more content, then I can. I'd love to have like a lavalier, or, just something that's really a great microphone. Um, it was a special gift from someone special. Now I'm like, is this the person? Is the gift giver the one writing these messages on a like burner account? One thing that's sort of fun for me, I use Twitch because it makes what I'm doing easy, but I don't know anything about Twitch really. I'm meaning the only followers or fans or friends or connections or whatever that I have on this site are from just people who found me randomly. Um, so I feel like even more freedom. Well, I feel pretty free on the internet because nobody really knows me. Or, what am I trying to say? My goal is to express myself truly, and sometimes that's easier when you're on a platform without people you know in real life. um, so, but then I mean, I've been sharing like very candid or intimate or what are some nicer words? Sincere, authentic, embarrassing stuff online ever since I first got online, and I did. This is what I do most of the time, or this is what I consider my career, but it's art, and communication is also part of the art because not everyone can look at this and see. Well, people don't know what this is, and so I I merge my life and my art. So I talk about my life so someone can understand, I guess, where the art is coming from. But both of them I do for the same goal, same reason, which is just to feel okay. And I find that really difficult. So I have chronic pain and it interferes with everything. And I live in the US, and I don't have money, so I don't have health care. And so I've been having a really, really bad year, and someone is helping me um, get some care. And so that's great. So today, last week at this time, I wasn't keeping my house clean, and I I just wasn't doing much except surviving. And um, that caused me to get behind financially. And anyway, life with chronic pain is well, I need support. And so fortunately, I got some support this week. So I'm on medications, which are helping because they're enabling me to be up and moving right now. But they make me hungry. So even though I just had a little sandwich, I'm also still gonna cook. Yeah, okay. Um, oh, weird. I wonder what's going on out in the world. The water pressure is suddenly very low. I live in a high-rise building. It's rarely, that rarely happens. Um, so someone gave me some food last week, and one of them, and they went to like one of those warehouse stores. So suddenly I have, it's just so funny that I live alone, and suddenly I have tons of whatever. Pancake mix. So I'm going to make some pancakes. Um, and one thing about living in the US that is so irritating is that we use measurements that make no sense. So so the official instructions on this are 2 cups of this to 1.5 cups of water. But I never want to make that quantity. So I can cut it in half, and then I'm dealing with 1 cup to 0.75 or 3/4 of a cup of water. And all that, it's just annoying to deal with fractions and everything should be metric if we're gonna, I mean, and oh, so I actually, did I need to do math? I don't know. Maybe it was fun. But I sat down and figured out like 1.5 to 2 and then metric. And it all that time to realize that the proportion is 3 to 4. I mean, yeah, my brain, like I was taught cooking or not taught cooking, I was taught cooking as poorly as I was taught math. In the US, few people learn to cook at all. We're just ordering out. I mean, and then American men are taught like nothing, no life skills. And I mean, you can watch all the sitcoms, where the dad doesn't know how to do anything and the mom has to do everything. Those are not fiction for the most part. Um, yeah, so I was never taught. Oh, and then in terms of math, I mean, oh man. So like I'm doing all this to figure out proportions, all this long division and um, when it really figuring out that one thing is 1.5 and one thing is 2, that should not have taken me. It should not have taken me. Anyway, I don't know if that's interesting or not, but uh, to me, what matters when there's 2 ingredients is the proportion. That's really all that matters. Um, but even more important than that, in terms of learning to cook, is what it looks like when it's mixed to the. I mean, so okay. What's the point of my story? The point of my story is I was not taught to cook at all. I think that's true of most people who grew up. The U.S. has a very weird food culture, weird relationship with food, weird relationship with cooking, and then, guys don't learn anything. So, so then, fast forward decades or whatever, fast forward to adulthood, you're living on your own and you don't know how to do anything. And then you read instructions, and so you follow the instructions, or you read a recipe and you follow the recipe, but you're still not learning just to cook. You're not learning principles. You're not learning to be confident. Like, yeah, I don't have confidence in math. I don't have confidence in cooking. This is because this thing becomes so big. Yeah, warehouse stores. And I appreciate getting free food, but I put it in, eh, I don't need the box. Oh yeah, 3 to 4. What do I want? 3 to 4. really, I just want to do it by how it looks. Remember how it looked the last time and just do it the same. And just make, let's see if we can make the smallest number of pancakes that we want. So we're just going by look. um, so when I don't buy pancake mixes, this was a gift because I know that they're easy to make from flour and baking soda and oil and eggs and okay. I mean, I might be hungrier than that, but don't go overboard, just a little bit more. Um, but since someone did give me the mixes, I mean, they do this is produces more consistent results than my from scratch recipes. And when you're doing a from scratch recipe, there is a lowest quantity that can be made easily because of it has an egg in it due to the size of the egg. So I really thought it would be cute to be able to fit this into this, but it won't. And yeah, just these are decisions to be made some other time when I'm not hungry. So the medications I'm on, I think one of the things I'm on is a steroid, and those definitely have made me make me more hungry. So yeah, I just had a little mini sandwich, but I still want to eat more. Um, wonder. Oh, I'm hiding the chat. I'm not used to. I don't know. Like the person who was chatting isn't there, but their messages are still there, or probably isn't still there. But I mean, I don't care if you're there or not. But I don't like glancing at the screen and seeing messages that are not current. Does that make sense? When I was also gay, so since I'm trying to be, this is a combination of therapy and stream of consciousness talk. My conservation brain, this is not a dirty enough paper towel to throw out because I'll probably use it at the end to clean the pan. So, I mean, that's just one example of sort of like making my life more difficult because I don't want to accept waste. Um, when I cook a pancake, I like to let bacon oil the pan. Oh my goodness. Well, my refrigerator freezes things, and I have a anyway. I've got problems. I think that needs to be one of my new priorities is getting that. I have a mini fridge, but it's always full. So I keep what I can in the fridge that freezes things, including my iced tea, and usually, oh, I usually keep this in a different drawer and it's not frozen hard like this. I get it. So you're going to go back in, well, no, I don't know what you're going to do. Yeah, you'll go back in the drawer you used to, ow, you used to hang out in. Oh my gosh, I've got a hidden Coca-Cola. Um, every day I just try to get through the day to um, make the pain to so I mean even washing this, I put some thought into conservation. I first washed it with my hands, my fingers, and then when most of the messy stuff was gone, I used this fresh rag because I want to get more use out of that rag. While it's just everything's about, I use rags instead of sponges because they last forever and I just wash them and I, I don't know. Maybe it's, I don't know. I'm not saying that I do things the way any way that's right. It's just makes sense for me. Um, someone sent me links to some stretches, which I want to do because that should be part of my treatment in U.S. healthcare. Um, when I go to a doctor and this doctor is, the reason I'm going is that I have pain, none of the conversations are about, I mean, because it's a doc, like the treatments are drugs or surgery or whatever, and they don't incorporate movement. Well, there's another, so when I first went, I mean, they said, oh, we want to try these certain things on you, but you have to go to physical therapy first. And then that's within the healthcare system. And then you go to this physical therapy place where the where it becomes like it's just all about money. Everything is about visits and billing and and they treat it as either or, like either you're going to um, use non-prescription, non, I mean, like They don't say, oh, you need both of these things at the same time. And what am I saying? If I were writing a sci-fi better world version of my current life, I would live in a system in which, yes, you may have these drugs because you are in so much pain that you need to be on these treatments spaced out over this, length of time. And while you're doing that, and it just has to be free. Healthcare has to be free, or else people are not going to choose it. Don't have the luxury to put my well-being first. It's too expensive in the U.S. So then the but oh, and then in my fictional better world, there would also be everywhere all sorts of free physical like stretching and yoga and sports and at all levels, you know, so that it wouldn't be either or, and it wouldn't be hard to get, whatever. Something in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm just complaining. Don't I know it's all on me? Don't I know that I can look at yoga videos on YouTube and eat better and self motivate and not have these problems? I do kind of know that, and yet I'm not doing it. And I know I'm not the only one. So I'm simply saying the world could be better. It's just like we could design systems that help individuals do what's best for themselves. We certainly don't have that system right now. Boy, I made very little. This is truly a snack. This is fun. I'm a big fan of. I wonder if I can get more. If I can clean the. Eh, that probably isn't worth doing. I watched a cooking video on YouTube recently, and the person was pouring. Well, I should have showed you before I. But pouring something like this that's thick into a recipe, and she was doing all this, and she's like, "Get every drop," and I kind of objected to that terminology because you can't get every drop. That's what makes me crazy. I know I was saying stuff. It should come back to me. You can't see it, but I'm flipping the bacon. I like crispy bacon. Now I'm going to flip the pancake. I flipped it too soon. Oh, oh, I knew there was something I wanted to do. It's kind of too late, maybe. So I really like blueberries, but they're way too expensive right now. And one of the food charities I go to gave me these red seedless grapes. Yeah, it's too late. Uh, called Candy Hearts, and I think they're like disgustingly sweet, like way too sweet to enjoy. Um, so I thought, well, maybe what if I broke up? What if I broke up? I hate to waste. I haven't figured out what to do with these. I'm gonna throw some in the pan. Whatever. I guess. I mean, the way fruits are made, they're like bred to have certain characteristics, and whoever made this one just figures that people like candy, so let's make a fruit that's so sweet. And as soon as I tried one, I wanted to throw the whole package away. I think they're disgusting. I get food from fruit charities and from generous friends, and in so doing, I don't get much choice in everything. You know the expression beggars can't be choosers, or could also be rephrased, um, poor people don't get free will. All right, now maybe I'll get into a habit. Then I can show chat, no new messages. Now I go back to hide chat. So I could just activate the chat on the screen from time to time when I feel like it. I'm learning as I go. That's called living, or as Chef John would call it, that's just you cooking. Uh, I started out by saying I learned really nothing about cooking growing up. I've learned more from Chef John than uh, than anyone else, probably, because I really like the way he cooks. That it isn't. Listen, I like America's Test Kitchen. It's fun, but their exactness. I mean, and I know the idea is well, you're going to get great results if you follow these steps, but they can be really. They make simple things complicated, and when I watch a Chef John recipe, he doesn't even. Um, I mean, the hardest thing for a lot of people to deal with is that he has this style of sing-songy talking. But once you learn to love that or accept it, the what I like about it is that he doesn't overemphasize quantities. It's you're just watching somebody technique, and he's making adjustments, and um, it it helps me. It helped me get up more courage to cook, and so did as did not having income and being at home during the pandemic. So that's an example of some negatives like pandemic and loss of income being leading, causing positives, creating positives. Uh, yeah, so it's so messy. Like even when something's clean, there's no. I have to. I have to just know in my head that this is cleaner than these things, which isn't difficult to remember, but it's well, yeah. I mean, I guess that's why I live like this, is because it isn't that difficult. And for me, it's less difficult. than having a routine based around a job that harms my spirit. And those are the only kinds of jobs that I have had that paid. So this big bowl looks like it's got pancake batter residue in it. Although, no, I made the pancakes. I mean, see, memory does work. Huh, I wonder when that happened. Like heat damage on a Pyrex bowl. I don't remember. Uh, the longer I own things, this was my grandparents. I mean, so someday, if I were buying something today, I wouldn't buy this. It's glass and it's just less convenient than a more lightweight bowl. A more lightweight, non-breakable bowl. But as long as I have it, I'll keep using it. I suppose I could use it like as a fruit bowl or something. But most days I don't feel well enough to have these kinds of thoughts. Most days I don't feel well enough most days lately, to clean up. And I was talking about other jobs, and like my house was a mess when I did have jobs because then I didn't feel I would get home and I'd be tired and like I say, the jobs I had hurt me, drained me spiritually. Um, so, all right, these pancakes should be done. I can't run the dishwasher because it's the middle of the night. I don't like to make, I don't know if that matters. I'm making smells. I live in a multi-unit building. I try not to make, to run like machines. No, that's not really done that. But this one is. I don't know how I'm going to feel about these brittled grapes. I'll probably hate them as much as I did at first bite. Um, so the food charity that I got the grapes from, and I may go to tomorrow, you don't get any choices. And the vibe there is definitely, I feel like if I said, oh, that, I mean, now that I know these grapes, if they try to give them to me again, I guess I could say, oh, those are too sweet, um, or something. I don't know. But they're definitely, they're not very friendly. They give out free food, but they're not very friendly. Um, they definitely make you feel like, um, you know, just be grateful. And I am. I don't know if I don't sound grateful. I just, I say the things I say because then everything is better if people who are barely getting by, just given financial help or something. But to have the time to go somewhere during very specific hours to get whatever they give you is pretty difficult for people who are struggling. Heating up the grapes somehow helped, and I guess I won't need any syrup. So when I was at my worst in the past month, actually it needs salt. That butter is unsalted. When I was at my worst, I wasn't leaving the house and I wasn't reaching out. Except for online. And one person donated $7, and one person donated $20 to me. So that I'm very grateful for. If you go to www.rmiddleton.art, Middleton, the last link in that tree is, I'm pretty sure the bottom link is giving support. And get my paintings if you want. Um, and then things got so bad, and I started just letting it be known. Let's see, things got so bad. When things are really bad, they're so bad that I don't have the motivation to help myself. And I can feel that way for a period of time in which I'm things are getting worse, like finances, state of my living, state of my body. Things are getting worse during that period of feeling so bad that I am not even communicating. And then at some point, there's a turning point, and I know I've got to do something. I don't have a choice. So then I do the difficult things, and I start reaching out directly to various people who can help. And I suppose the reason that's difficult is that not everyone responds. So, um, which is normal because people have their own lives and they're busy and whatnot. But what I'm saying is that when it's when it feels so hard to to reach out for help, every attempt, um, the success or failure is really high stakes. I mean, unfortunately, I kind of had the same experience with my art marketing. It's like so little pans out that constantly doing things. This meal would have been better with a fried egg, when I have plenty of those too. My previous Robin recovery stream was subtitled Failure. So it's talking about art, and it's just hard when most of what you do doesn't succeed. And maybe that's normal, and maybe that's life, and maybe the attitude is you just gotta keep going and blah blah blah. I don't know, but when you don't have a lot of support, it's difficult to have the confidence or self delusion or whatever optimism. To continue to do things when most of your efforts fail requires a lot of commitment, optimism, whatever. When I said optimism, I thought of the book Candide because the subtitle of Candide is optimism. Had a I can remember the French cover of Candide ou optimisme, and maybe it's l'optimisme, which would just mean optimism or the optimism. Um, and then the whole book is like a sarcastic satire of how um, the philosophy of Dr. Pangloss, which means, I mean, I don't, I'm not native French. I barely understand it. I don't speak French, but pan everything gloss, like I just think of like glossing over everything, making it all shiny and good and optimistic. That we live in the best of all possible worlds. It's a great satire, I think. It still is a favorite book. I haven't reread it in a long time. It's super short too. It's another reason why it was an easy book to call my favorite because I reread it many times. And it's terrible, like the things that happen. It's very weird having grapes with pancakes, but as a syrup substitute, it works. Those grapes are too sweet. Just to finish up my complaining about the free food given to me segment. When reading Candide, oh, just to like it is possible to live in this type of mess and know like I know where the clean things are, I know where the dirty things are. I realize it doesn't and shouldn't inspire confidence to a guest. It wouldn't be okay, so now I'm tossing this paper towel because I've used it sufficiently. Paper towels stress me out. Basically, anything that's produced that's not sustainable stresses me out. Anything that comes into my life, into my house, that is an example of not sustainable living, is a weight on me, especially food packaging, since that's about all I spend money on, or don't spend money on when I get it for free. Um, is this still the coldest option? Since my ice machine is working, I want to make sure I'm getting the coldest option. It's tempting to put this on that. That burner's still hot. Keeping, I mean, like, so the struggle is keeping track of things in one's mind, keeping one's wits about one, keeping my wits about me while living. I mean, because my surroundings aren't set up to uh, help me. They're obstacles. But is there rhyme or reason to what I'm doing? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe it's just passing the time. Oh, oh, like this is something else that was given to me, and I don't think it's because they say they're best by June 8th, and it's now uh, October 3rd or 4th. Um, these to me are also disgusting. So, and I was given some jam, and it's, oh, or like this supposed jelly. Fruit spread grape, ingredients sugar, water, grape pulp, fruit pectin. I'm not an ingredient snob, but everything about this when I use it is gross. Anyway, so these are just some of the free things I get that I would never buy myself. Yes, I'm still complaining. Um, Candide, the Panglossian philosophy supports the status quo. It's conservative to say this is the best of all possible worlds. Things could not be better. We simply have to have the optimism to keep going, no matter what the circumstances are. I see, and like I say, it's a satire. It's written kind of completely straight, as if that's the text, and the context, the subtext, context, the meaning that I derive from this story is that it is not clearly not the best of all possible worlds, and things could be improved that would improve the lives of our main characters and everyone that they encounter. And that is the same way that I feel about the world that we live in. And, that's an example of why and how art speaks speaks truths in a way more efficiently than nonfiction. Well, wait, I said art. I mean, this is my truth. Is this fiction or nonfiction? Um, I mean, I guess that's why people say we're a storytelling culture, because what a story is, what art is, what a production is, it's a distillation. It's edited. Um, we don't have the time to know the truth about everything or anything. Um, I mean, imagine any single experience that you have. You would have to have all of the input, all the data, the sensory, experience that you had from it, and then everyone else's perspective and all the history that leads up to it. I mean, we truth is maybe an illusion, and art helps. And so I guess I can see. I mean, I guess that's why people speak. We're a storytelling species or whatever. People are very positive about that, and I'm not. And it drove me to make this kind of art because this because there are a lot of stories that serve the status quo. Most stories, and especially in a system, capitalism, in which everything has to turn a profit, then most stories are not going to challenge the system. Or even when they do, I mean, we've all seen how messages get co-opted and artists get co-opted. They just become like a new fashion to put on, but not to actually make change because change is not in the best interest of anybody who's doing well the way things are. So I think that Candide, I think Dr. Pangloss's world could be better. I think that our world could be better. I think that when someone is burdened and not excelling, not succeeding in the system as it exists, I think giving that person extra tasks to perform to receive help is not help. You're distracting them further from fixing, you know, themselves. And whether it takes place in the medical field or charity work, good good deeds or good intentions or good treatment can can still perpetuate an overall negative, can have an overall negative effect and can still just ensure the lack of progress by fitting into systems instead of changing the systems. So when I complain about free things that are given to me, it's not that I'm not grateful. It's that I look at it and I think this is a new burden for me to bear, which is knowing that this is a waste because these are not the things I would have chosen. Some of them may go bad because I went from having like no food to having two separate deliveries of gifted food. One I had to go get myself, and one was given to me by an acquaintance. And so then suddenly, this single person who's been living off of like oatmeal is now faced with, my God, I have so much fruit to eat before it goes bad, or to process or do something with. And and some of it, the part that's still left, is disgusting to me. Or or I've got these junk food items that I would never buy for myself, but since I don't have money and I don't support waste in our unsustainable system, I want to try to find a way to use it. But I might throw away those snack cakes because I tried heating one up in the oven and serving it with a little bit of, well, I can't, I would, I can't currently afford ice cream. I don't have ice cream currently. I do have some yogurt. Yogurt's more, yogurt's easier for me to justify buying than ice cream. Plain yogurt. So I sweetened and whipped the plain yogurt a little bit to make it into a topping that I put on top of the heated up Entenmann's apple pie, hand hand pie, thinking this will save this free food item I was gifted, and it didn't. It was still disgusting. I don't understand. There's so many products I don't understand how they can exist, but someone likes that. So what I'm saying maybe sounds nasty because I'm saying like someone gave me free stuff and I don't like it. And I'm trying to say, like, if we want to help people, don't give them new burdens to navigate systems. I mean, I appreciate it. I will take everything that's given to me and I will try to make use of it. But I would appreciate even more if you care, if you're somebody who cares, just start to accept the fact that a strong social safety net, or the best option of which is universal basic income, is so much more efficient. And if I could make my own choices, then I wouldn't be, you know, maybe I would cut down on choices that bring things like this into my life that weigh me down. Maybe I would cut down on, I mean, I certainly wouldn't buy food that I dislike. It's a waste of resources that there must be people on this planet who like grapes that sweet, or who like, I'm going to pull these out again, these nasty things. Listen, I am not above processed stuff. I used to eat, I mean, they're disgusting, but I used to eat oatmeal cream pies, Swiss cake rolls, zingers. I like mini donuts. I like regular donuts. I mean, whether they're fresh or prepackaged or frozen. I love like these apple turnovers that you bake in the oven and they get crispy. I don't know, something about this is really gross. I mean, the filling doesn't taste like apple. Oh, why not? Read the ingredients. Enriched flour, high fructose corn syrup, water, sugar, evaporated apples, glycerin, palm oil. I think you get the picture. Uh, and the other thing about some of what I've been given, I've talked about it already, is that it arrives in my life in quantities that are larger, as they come from warehouse food stores, that are suddenly larger than They meet my needs, and it becomes work to save it so that it doesn't go to waste. And all of that is inefficient and extra work for someone who is not getting by. And to have something like, I mean, in the US, things like giving money without strings, without jumping through hoops, aka universal basic income, that seems impossible. That's not the system that we have. That'll never happen here. What is this, Sweden? Whatever. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if any country has it, but we certainly can talk about it. And if we talk about it in terms of the fact that it's more efficient, it costs less than running all the crazy programs that we have now, and lets people have their dignity. I just think it's, by the way, the little lights that say hot? The light went out and the surface is still warm. It's not too hot to touch, I guess. Well, I'm touching it through a cloth. I would not touch it with my bare skin. Um, my stovetop is so grimy. I haven't cleaned in a long time. But this is, you know, whatever. I was just going to say, this is how I like to clean when it doesn't seem like something I don't want to do. I don't know. I know, I mean, I guess I'm just crazy. I've asked friends if they would just come and hang out while I clean. And, surprise, surprise, nobody wants to do that. I mean, I can see where they would think it was boring, but I feel like you could have a glass of wine and have a conversation with me while I do tasks that I don't enjoy doing. So you're distracting me from the fact that they're not super fun. Now, people do want to come in and they'll be like, I'll transform your whole house in 3 hours. And it's like, oh, no, please don't offer me that. That's way too, it's scary. It's been so long since I've cleaned. There's some on here that really doesn't want to come off. Let's try vinegar. Let's try bleach. Wait a minute. Just don't mix bleach with other cleaners is all I'm trying to say. But I don't have any bleach in here. Just making a dumb joke. I guess I'm getting to the end. I know I'm already over an hour and I try to keep these brief. This one, um, yeah, I can do like a recap, a closing. Yesterday was National Poetry Day in the UK. I learned that because I hang out in Fediverse where there's a lot of UK people. And so I shared some poems. And in one of them, what did I do? I went and I looked at stuff I had stored, like old videos and old posts. And I went to look for poems that I had read And in one of the ones, I talked about how I wanted to start my day with poetry because I have a really hard time starting my day. And the poet Naomi Shihab Nye, I believe, in an interview with Krista Tippett on Being, said that she used to read her son wake up stories instead. Um, I don't know if it was instead of or in addition to, but like bedtime stories, but wake up stories. And I thought that might help me because I have a hard time when I wake up making myself get going uh, because I don't have a Panglossian philosophy that this is the best of all possible worlds. I think it's a lot of extra unpleasant work. So um, it's kind of interesting because is the ice maker working? The power went out. I unplugged and replugged in the refrigerator, and that's when it stopped working. I guess I could try turning it off and turning it on again. I already tried there's this ice maker on off switch inside, and I already tried that. Off again, on again. Hmm. I think I even have. I guess this is my new ice making capacity. And in an example of how limitations can be a good thing, I knew it was National Poetry Day. I didn't feel up to making any new content. And so I went and I looked at stuff I had already made and I reshared different times I had talked about poems or read poems. So that was a good thing that I didn't feel like making new content and I got reacquainted with, oh shit, some of the content that I've made in the past. Um, Maybe this will work out easier. I mean, I'll say one thing about my poor quality productions. If you're watching this, then you're so special to me. Oh my God, I'm not handling this transition, but I just didn't want to be in the kitchen anymore. As messy as it still is, this gives me, I feel so much better than I did. with the little bit of work that I've done. Oh, and now I'm gonna do the thing that's almost never done. Close the door to the kitchen. Bye bye. I'll see if anybody's commented. Show chat. Oh, wait a minute. Show chat. Hi chat. I don't know. I recognize, like, it's really frustrating if someone is watching this. It's really frustrating to follow along to a presentation like this that's so disorganized or disordered. And where, we live in an environment in which our media is so good and edited, and it's really stimulating. It keeps it keeps our attention because, well, let's say maybe it does keep our attention. It also robs us of our attention. It keeps it and doesn't give it back. The more time I spend on that that on social media, online sites like Twitter, or and I'm not on Twitter anymore. Instagram, I'm still on. They diminish my attention span because there's so much stimulation to choose from, and I, can decide within the first 2, 3, 5 seconds. 5 is a long time, actually. 1 or 2 seconds, and then I decide whether or not I can. I want to like absorb this, keep going, pay more attention, and it does kind of interfere with my ability to think long term. And I think the most important things require that skill of long term thinking. So I know I was talking about National Poetry Day and trying to start my day with poetry or stories. I I want to create patterns that help me achieve the goals I want. And that doesn't that requires changing what I've been doing. So pick, waking up and picking up the phone and jumping right back into a social media feed doesn't accomplish, doesn't promote my goals. Doesn't it harms me. And I'm not going to say that I should not have that any time in my life for that. And like I've said, I hang out mostly on the Fediverse, Mastodon, so it's a really nice social media feed. But it's still like a fire hose of all sorts of different topics that can take my mind a bunch of different places. So I still, no matter what quality it is, whether it's Fox News or NPR or Twitter or the Fediverse, it's still a style of information presentation or delivery that is um, high stimulation, and it triggers um, certain just ways of thinking, brain patterns for me. So I don't know if I can. But anyway, I just found this is from a little free library, and it's a book I picked up by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, but it's not The Little Prince. It's Wind, Sand, and Stars. But it's long stories. There aren't passages for. I've never. It's the first time I've looked inside. So where am I going? I thought it would be nice if I ended in a by like being the change I want to see in my life, in the world. I thought it'd be nice if I ended with like a poem or reading or something, uh, but I didn't plan ahead for that. And making positive changes is a lot easier when we plan for it. So uh, I think if I want to start my day with stories or poems or something that's a slow speed that helps me wake up my thoughts and instead of bombarding me with, there's everything that happened while you were sleeping or whatever, then I think a way for me to make that most likely would be for me to have physical paper, books near my bed that I can get. And I mean, I have a flippin' library card and I have a library that's within walking distance. So even though I normally use like that phone apps, Hoopla or Libby, I don't have to. And I can go and check out, I can try three different poets or whatever and wake up. And one of my deals with poetry is that it's it's like a lot of other things. There's so few that I love, but it doesn't cost me any money to check out library books. I can learn what I like by having like three poetry books a month by my bedside, something like that, or at all times. So yeah, I would have enjoyed reading something to close this out, but I didn't prepare. I'm just gonna sit and say, if anyone is watching this, thank you. That means a lot. I'll keep doing stuff like this. It helps me to talk through things and I share it and I get a small number, a very small number, like single digit number of responses. but it means a lot because I know that what I'm putting out isn't easy. It isn't designed to be stimulating in that way that everything else is. But if I can make stuff that is either soothing or connects with someone in a way or simply, well, yeah, connects in the sense of you might recognize yourself in some of what I'm saying, or you might just think that person is talking and saying what they really think and feel, and that's so rare. To me, I think it's so rare. So, thank you. And if I'm the only one who ever watches all the way this all the way through again, then thank you because I'm allowed to thank myself. All right, I'm gonna go. Oh, oh, hmm, hmm. This seems really messed up right now. I don't know how this happened.